and welcome to my first Millwork video designed just for interior design students. It's important to learn how to design customized millwork and casework for clients. And usually we get to this point in a class and I've literally seen students freeze because they do not have any idea of how things are built, and it becomes immediately overwhelming. Well, never fear, young Padawans. I am here to help alleviate these fears, and we will do so by showing you how a simple base cabinet for a kitchen is assembled together. Once you know how these little guys are built, you know all the materials, the joinery needed, the assembly. That's when you can start seeing how other millwork projects are made, like closet cabinets and shelving, desks, furniture. It all has the same kind of thought process behind it, just different outcomes. So the goal of this demonstration is so that you better educate yourself, so that when the time comes for you to start planning your own custom millwork, you do so with wisdom and it shows on your elevation sections and details. Those are the typical drawing types needed to help a carpenter build any millwork or casework pieces. So to give you some background, my family owned a kitchen cabinet manufacturing company. I worked there every summer from 13 years old until I graduated college in my mid-20s. So the cabinet building process I'm about to show you is based on our cabinet building design and process. Please understand there are hundreds of ways to build cabinets, lots of different materials, lots of different joinery methods. This is just one way. So please feel free to look at other woodworking resources for more ways to do the exact same thing I'm about to show you. The kind of cabinets that my family built were designed with a hardwood face from which the doors sit on top of, and a plywood body. And what we're going to do is we're going to design and build a standard 36-inch base cabinet with 2 doors and 2 drawers. So the first step in the process is actually building the face of the cabinet. And there's going to be 4 openings that we need to plan for. So there's 2 openings for the drawers and there's 2 openings for the doors. How big are those going to be? Well, we have some other things that we need to take into consideration, like this cabinet needs a toe kick and it also needs a countertop. So in order to figure out the size of these holes, we got to do a little math and we got to do a little planning. Now our cabinet faces were typically built with 1.5-inch wide pieces of hardwood that were also about 1 inch thick. So here's how we're going to plan this. I'm currently in AutoCAD and I've got the interior design or the ID template up and running. I have E1 selected as my layer, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a line, somewhere around 7 feet. It doesn't have to be exact or anything like that. But this line is representing the floor line, the floor that the cabinet's going to sit on. Now for those of you who are my students, I need you to tell me what height are kitchen cabinets with countertops typically in a kitchen? Anybody? Well, if you said 36 inches or 3 feet, you are correct. So 36 inches high off of the finished floor and then 36 inches wide. So I'm going to come in here with E3. I'm going to use the line command and I am going to kind of come over here. Let's go up 36. Let's do a straight line first, why don't we? 36 inches high, 36 inches wide, and 36 inches back down to the floor. Now I can kind of readjust this a little bit. I don't want too much floor to have to deal with, but we just need enough on both sides. It doesn't have to be exact. But this is kind of where the base of our planning is starting. So as I said before, this 36 inches includes a countertop. Typically a countertop is about 1.5 inches thick. So I'm going to offset 1.5 inches from the top down, and there's our countertop. There's also a toe kick at the very bottom, and those are typically 4 inches high from the floor. So toe kicks are right here. I'm going to go 4 inches and draw that toe kick in. So far we're doing really beautiful. Now, like I said, the face of the cabinet is made of hardwood, and ours were 1.5 inches wide. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the perimeter and I'm going to work my way inside. So the first thing I'm going to place are the stiles, which are the vertical pieces of the face that go up and down and the full length of the actual cabinet. So I'm going to take my handy dandy line tool. I'm going to hover and then move over 1.5 inches. And there's that. This is a style. I'm going to take that line and I'm going to mirror it over to the other side. La. Do I want to erase the source object? No, I do not. So 2 styles on the cabinet that are 1.5 inches wide. The next thing that I have to do is the rails. Those are the horizontal pieces that sit in between the styles, and they help us kind of start to place where the doors and the drawers are going to be. So on a face of a cabinet, there's always one right underneath the countertop, and then there's always one right above where the toe kick is going to be. So again, those were 1.5 inches wide. So I'm going to grab my trusty line tool, hover, drag up so I get that extension line, and it's 1.5 inches. Excellente. Now I can go ahead and use the mirror tool to get the other one up above so I don't have to draw. I do not want to erase. And here I have 2 rails. There is going to be a 3rd rail, again to separate where the doors live and the drawers. But I have to understand like how wide those holes have to be up here, like how high they are vertically. So to give you just a basic concept, whatever your actual drawer front, whatever that size is going to be, in terms of height, we usually just go 1 inch smaller. So if I wanted 6-inch drawer fronts, then I would create a 5-inch hole for the height of the drawers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little temporary construction line, come down 5 inches because I do want 6-inch cabinet drawers fronts. And I'm going to draw a line all the way across, and what we're trying to do is install the 3rd rail that sits in between the door and the drawer. Offset that by 1.5 inches, and you have the 3rd rail. Are we starting to see how this is coming together? Excellent. So again, just to repeat, 1.5 inch styles. Styles are vertical. Rails, kind of like railroad tracks if you think about it, like it's the rails that go that way. They are horizontal, and they just kind of help us map out where everything's going to be. Now, because we have 2 doors and 2 drawers, that means that we need to add what's called a mullion. A mullion is kind of like a stile. It's just that it doesn't go all the way up like a stile does. It actually sits in between the rails. And typically a mullion is a lot wider than your stiles. So at our company, our mullions were about 3 inches wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the center of this rail and I'm going to draw a line straight down. If my mullion is 3 inches wide, that means that I get to offset that line 3.5 inches. Haha, just kidding. 1.5 inches. I was just trying to see if you were paying attention. That's all I was doing. All right, I'm going to offset 1.5 inches to the right as well as to the left so that then I can delete that center line, and there's the mullion. So the idea is, and I'm just going to kind of demonstrate this, you don't need to do this, and I'm just going to change colors real quick just so that you can see, is that when the door and the drawer fit on top, that they are doing something kind of like this, so that they're actually resting on the face and covering up the whole of the cabinet itself. So that's our main goal. But first we have to kind of decide like where the holes are and what size things are going to be. Now if you want a really large drawer, you can just leave it like this, but typically what we do is we create a mullion in between the drawers. Oh, better put my layer back on by layer. And then I'm going to copy that and just use the bottom to help me place that. And there is essentially what our cabinet is eventually going to look like. But sometimes you have to do some planning and some math so that you can figure things out a little bit better. Does that make sense for everybody? I sure hope it does. All right, so now that we have the face of this cabinet kind of figured out and we know some of the math behind it, now it's time to go into SketchUp, and I'm going to show you how they actually put this face together. And then once we get the face completed, I'll show you very quickly how the rest of the cabinet comes together.